Yo, welcome back everybody to a brand new video here on the second channel. Today I'm doing a mini tournament report for my top 4 placement at a League Cup this past weekend. So yeah, I ended up going to a League Cup yesterday, and I ended up playing Fusion Mew. Yes, I crossed over to the dark side. I played a deck that I didn't think I would ever play in my life, and that is Mew. I mean, I've been one of the biggest haters of Mew, but I actually ended up playing the deck this weekend because I wanted to play something different. Really, like, with the way the meta is right now, there's not really any decks that stand out to me. There's obviously, we're in this like rock paper scissors format, and we're also in a meta where there are a ton of decks you could theoretically play. Like if you wanted to play Shempao or Gardevoir or Charizard or Miraidon or Mew or Lost Zone variants, you can just do whatever. Like I feel like you can literally play whatever right now, and you can do well with it. And I wanted to play Mew because I haven't really played Mew before, and I thought that Mew was actually like not bad going into this tournament. I mean, Spiritomb doesn't really exist right now in our format, and even if it does, Fusion Mew can beat it because you do have Elisa Sparkle and Fusion Energy. And I think Mew's also just really well positioned right now against a lot of the decks. The only matchups that scare me are Charizard and Gardevoir. I think those are two of Mew's worst matchups. Charizard is very bad. Beatable, but bad. Gardevoir is beatable, but also pretty bad if your opponent just sets up. So the deck is not the greatest deck overall. Like, I think it loses to two of the top decks, but it does seem to beat a lot of the other decks that aren't Gardevoir and Charizard, and that's what kind of excited me about playing a Mew this weekend. And I wanted to try something different. Like I said, I hadn't really played Mew before, and I wanted to play it because I think Mew could be fun. And I actually really enjoyed playing the deck. After the League Cup, after getting top 4, me and my buddies went to a Win-A-Box, which was like 20 minutes away from the League Cup, and I ended up going 4-1 at the Win-A-Box too. So pretty good weekend for me playing Mew. But yeah, will I play Mew again in the future? I'm not sure. I think that the deck is good, but I really just am scared of the Guardy matchup and the Charizard matchup. Those two matchups specifically are just not very easy to beat. Gardevoir, you have lines. Charizard, you have like one line and that's it. But we'll talk about my tournament report here and why I played Fusion Mew. I tried Double Turbo Mew with a Selgor. I found the Assaultgore to be kind of useless. Like, it's not bad against Charizard, but with nobody really playing Roaring Moon right now, I found that there's no reason to play Mew with Assaultgore. Charizard is scary, obviously, but I found the Assaultgore to not really be super relevant. If Roaring Moon was a popular deck right now, like if it was as popular as like Charizard or Miraidon, I would probably play the Assaultgore build. I tried out like a straight DT path build. It was fine. It was okay, but I ended up just going to Fusion Strike because I wanted to try Fusion Strike instead. Funny enough, the thing that made me want to play it is I had to buy a League Battle deck to obtain Mews that I didn't have, and then it came with the Fusion Strike cards, and I was like, what if I just play Fusion Mew? So I just sleeved it up, practiced it a bit, and then rolled up to the League Cup at last minute because I didn't really want to go to the League Cup, but the night before I was like chilling with my friends and they're like, yeah, you should reach the League Cup, and I'm like, I guess. Like, it's pretty far from where I live, but I'll go because why not? I got nothing better to do on a Saturday, and I felt like I wanted to, do some testing and stuff to see if I was ready for San Antonio. So yeah, played Mew. Again, the Charizard and Guardy matchups are pretty bad, but again, I think it beats most other decks. This is the 60 I played, like I said. I think it's a pretty, like, good 60. Like, it's a pretty straightforward 62. I mean, Fusion Mew doesn't really have, like, the most advanced 60 you could come up with because there's only so many cards you can play in here. 2 Judge is insane, by the way. Judge Path is one of this deck's biggest win conditions, so 2 Judge, 2 Path felt really good. The Lost City was really good, too. It almost won me a game that I should have won had I played better, and I'll explain that in the tournament report. 3 Vacuums is good. I know some lists play 4. I think 3 and 4, it's like, honestly, give or take. The problem with playing 4 Vacuum is, like, sometimes your hand just gets clogged up with Vacuum sometimes. You have to, like, vacuum away Vacuum or burn 2 in a turn. 3 Vacuum felt pretty good. I mean, 3 Vacuum, 1 Lost City with the 4 Steel Stones and the Chromomatics. You do have a lot of outs to potentially getting out of, like, pass and stuff like that. So 3 Vacuum is pretty good. I think with the popularity of Bravery Charm right now, it's probably best to play 3. 4 definitely could be good if you can fit a 4th in. I'm still a big fan of Choice Belt in the 60. That was, like, I guess one card that was like kind of sus was like Choice Belt because not really many lists play Belt right now. It's usually a double box, but I actually think box is kind of bad. I feel like a good Gardevoir player is going to play around the box pretty well. I just don't think box is worth it in Mew. As a 2 of, I think you still want to play at least a belt or like maybe even cleansing gloves. I don't know. I don't believe the box of the disaster hype. Maybe vengeful punch is better too, like a box punch split. Again, the problem with box is your Mew has to have full HP. If your opponent like early on like teleportation bursts you or something, or they like set you up with Crest or Screamtail. I don't know. I'm just not a fan of the Box of Disaster in the deck all around. I think it's easy to play around, so I'm not a huge fan of playing 2 Box. I think it's a placebo card. It's not bad, though, at all. It does help against Charizard, too, obviously, which is another big one. But Choice Belt was really good. It just lets you take knockouts. It's basically a 5th power tablet against Entei, Miraidon, and Tina, which is super important, especially against Giratina specifically. Choice Belt is very, very good. So this is the 60, and here is my tournament report. So round 1, I got paired against Charizard. They flipped over Pidgey, and I'm like, all right, Charizard, I'm fine. So your strategy against Charizard is you judge path. You just go first if you can. Ideally, you want to go first because you want to stabilize. But if you go second, going second against Charizard is good too because they don't get to play Arven to like get Battle VIP. So like the Charizard player needs to draw like raw basics going first. But you're playing against Zard is just immediately judge path them. Just hit them with the judge path as quick as possible. Make their hand super small, judge path them, and pray. That's all you can do. The matchup is unwinnable if they set up a Charizard a lot of the time. If they set up 2 Charizards, you lose. If they set up 1 Charizard, you can still win, but you have to just immediately judge path and pray. That's all you can do. If they start with 1 basic, you can try to donk it, obviously, but you just judge path, right? And unfortunately, my opponent round 1 with Charizard just bricked. They went second, and they Iono'd, and they whiffed a way to get a Charmander, and they just benched a Manaphy and passed. And then it was my turn, and then I KO'd the active Pidgey. It was a 6 HP Pidgey, not the Call for Family one. Like, they whiffed an energy, they whiffed the Battle VIP, and I just killed the Pidgey, and they promoted Manaphy. I was sitting on Judge Path, I think, and they just, like, they bricked. Their hand was unplayable. I don't know what they drew to make the hand that bad, but yeah, they, like, Iono'd into nothing, and then they just drew pass again, so it is not what it is. We take those. I mean, I would rather my arguable worst matchup brick. Round 2 was against Gardevoir. So this is your other scary matchup, just because you're attacking a lot of the time with a 3-prizer. The one thing you don't want to do against Guardy sometimes is to actually put a Meloetta or Ice Cube in play, unless it's worth it or you have to, mainly because your opponent can just go 1-2-3 to win the game. And it's actually really easy for Gardevoir to go 1-2-3 when they have Counter Catcher, when they have, Zacian, Reversal Energy, Shining Arcana, like, you basically, like, you want to try to avoid mentioning Mellow and Ice Cube. You want to just play into, like, Psychic Leap and stuff. Your other game plan against Guardy, if you go first, you want to basically just immediately judge them. Just make it so they can't draw many cards, and the turn they Mirage Step, you want to try to boss up the Curlia to knock it out. If they don't bench Manaphy, you can bench Ice Cube early on if you see an Ice Cube play that's better than doing a Judge play, you can go for the Ice Cube snipes on the Curlias if they don't play Manaphy down. Like, not showing that you're playing Fusion is actually ideal, because then they don't expect the Ice Cube and they won't bench Manaphy, and then you can start sniping Refinement Curlias and playing Judge in the same turn. But yeah, game 1, in game 2 against Guardy, I just won because my opponent bricked off of a Judge. Like, I judged him into a really bad hand, and they weren't able to really establish anything. They got 1 Refinement, and the Refinement didn't give them anything, and then I just bossed the Curlia, and from there my opponent scooped. Round 3, I played against Roaring Moon Charizard Lost Zone, so the Lost Zone Radiant Charizard Roaring Moon deck. Now, I lost this game because I made a pretty big misplay and a big error. It's not really a misplay, to be fair. It was a misplay, but it was also, like, it was just not me knowing what the list was. So I thought it was the 60 from, I think it was LEIC. I thought it was the 60 from LEIC, right? I thought it was the Roaring Moon Charizard from LEIC. I know their Pokemon is just the Cram, Sableye, Roaring Moon, and Charizard. That's it. They play 1 of each. I lost City to Roaring Moon early on. They had a loss on away their Charizard at one point, and then the turn I KO'd the Roaring Moon is when I lost City'd it. So I was like, you're out of attackers. They benched a Sableye and passed. And I'm like, okay, you're out of attackers. Like, there's no way you can KO my Mew. So I bossed their Sableye when I had a Judge in hand, which, looking back, I always should have judged instead of bossed, even though theoretically they have nothing in their deck that can knock me out, as the Moon and the Zard are both gone. There's no way they can there's no way they can take 3 prizes. Surely they can't win in 1 turn, right? That was my thought process. So I bossed Sableye. I had Judge in hand. So I just bossed Sableye, knock it out, and I'm like, all right, game over, right? Like, what are you going to do? I don't know why I did that, because there was no reason to boss Sableye. They didn't even do anything that turn. They benched Sableye pass. Like, they didn't lost mine or anything. So I should have just judged the entire time. So that was a misplay. And then I got immediately punished because my opponent had a Galarian Moltres in their deck. The baby one where you bench it, you can put 2 Dark Energy on it. I did not expect them to play that because I didn't know. I thought it was just like the 60 from LEIC. So I, like, boss Sableye. I game over, right? And then, yeah, they just Clara, Moltres. I'm like, oh. So, had I played Judge, I might have had a shot at winning the game because they might not have Moltres. Now, it's not like I'm guaranteed to win. They could easily have still pulled off the Moltres off of the Judge, but still, I maybe could have won the game if I literally played Judge. I don't know why I didn't play Judge. I had a Judge in hand. I decided to boss Sableye for some reason. And I didn't judge him for whatever reason because I didn't expect them to have any out to knock me out. And then they just had a Galarian Moltres Clara combo in their hand. So I immediately got punished. I should have judged and I would have won that game most likely. Maybe. Not guaranteed. Again, they still could have drawn it, but like at least I would have had a chance of winning the game instead of losing on the spot. Round 4, I got paired against my friend who's also playing Mew, and we both ID'd because we didn't want to grief each other. I don't think we should have ID'd. We played it out for fun, and I ended up winning. That's not why we should have ID'd, but I just don't think we should have ID'd in general. I think we did screw the tournament over by ID'ing. But yeah, we just chose to ID because me and my friend wanted to both make top 8. We just had to win out, right? Just win out, make top 8. Round 5, playing against another Gardevoir, another friend of mine who I've played against many times. And this match was pretty close. I ended up winning the game because I got a Path to the Peak to stick for 1 turn, and that's all I needed. I needed Path to stick for 1 turn. So, against Gardevoir, like I said early on, use Judge, use Boss when you can, use Ice Cube if you have to. If they have a slow start, use Ice Cube. If they don't match Manaphy, try to use Judge early on. Make sure you hold on to your Power Tablet so you can blow up a Gardevoir EX if they attack you with it. The matchup's not that bad if you play it properly and if you draw well enough. The problem is the Shiny Arcana Gardevoir is just really hard to counter because they can win the game in 2 attacks sometimes. Like, it's a tough matchup, like, especially if you have to play a 1-prizer down, then they can go 1, 2, 3 for a game, which is really hard to avoid. So I'm like, this matchup is bad. And, like, again, the Box of Disaster doesn't work. My opponent's playing Lost Vacuum. They're just going to play around the box anyways. Like, I just think Box of Disaster is not a great card for the Guardy matchup, but it does give you that, like, protection and immunity sometimes, but I just feel like your opponent's never going to walk in a box. You have to be playing against, like, an actual NPC for your opponent to just walk in a box for no reason. Like, unless they have to, and they can still win because of it. Like, if they just play in a box, you got to be playing against an NPC. It's not going to happen. So, I don't know. The box is just, in my opinion, a placebo, but whatever. That's beside the point. Yeah, Path bought me 1 turn. That's how you win against Guardy 2, is in the late game, you knock out the Gardevoir EX, or the Shiny Arcana or Gardevoir EX, whatever they attack you with, and you knock it out. You want to just Iono or Judge Path. Preferably Iono, because at that point they should have taken 2 to 3 prizes, so you can Iono them to a small hand, play a Path down, and pray. Unless their board is, their bench is like double Curlia, it's like maybe a lost cause, but if they're down, a stadium or 2, some of us don't play Worker anymore, you should be okay, right? You just Judge Path, you Iono Path and pray. A lot of the time you just beat Gardevoir, if Path can buy you 1 turn. If Path buys you 1 turn, a lot of the time, you should be fine to win the game. And that's what happened. My Path stuck for 1 turn, my opponent had to pass, and then the following turn, I quad Power Tablet, bossed the Gardevoir EX up and one-shot it. That was insane. I literally just held my tabs, so I'm like, yeah, I'm going to need these for the Guardy. Because funny enough, that's how I lost to a Gardevoir in practice, was I didn't hold my Power Tablets. I had to get rid of them with, like, crams and stuff to find VIP early on, and it cost me the game. But I held on my Power Tablets this time, and I literally had a game where I bossed the EX up and quad tableted. It felt good. And then round 6, winning in was against Shenpao. A very good matchup, mainly because if they go first, they might not get a good setup because they're forced to find VIP. If they're benching like 2 basics, you can like Ice Cube their lone Frigibacks. You can donk the Shenpao if they start with it. If you go first, you get the ability to go turn 2 Mew VMAX Judge Path, which is insane. So Shenpao is like your best matchup, or at least one of your best matchups. It is arguably your best matchup if everything goes well. Like if Judge Path sticks for 2 turns, you probably win. Like they can win by going like KO2 Mews, but like you can still attack with Meloetta. Like the matchup is very good, is what I'm trying to say. So my opening hand was insane. So they started Shenpao and Frigibacks, and my opening hand was insane. I had everything in my hand to either go Meloetta or Ice Cube. The problem is I had no Battle VIP in my hand. My hand was insane. I had a really, really good hand, but I had 0 outs to a Battle VIP pass. So I couldn't do a turn 1 Ice Cube knockout on the Frigibacks. I couldn't knock out the active Shenpao. So I had to bench 2 Mews Energy Mix pass. Felt so bad. But from there, I Iono Pathed them. Or like I killed their active the following turn with my Mew VMAX. Iono Path. I did make a really dumb misplay. I Nestballed for an Ice Cube, thinking that Ice Cube for 3 energy does 160, but it only did 120. I had 3 fusion energy on board. For some reason, I thought Ice Cube was doing enough to one-shot the max caliber for 3 energy, and my math was off. Thankfully, this didn't punish me in the game, but it did because I just got another Genesect. For some reason, I went Ice Cube Genesect. Whatever. It is what it is. So I was like, oh, crap. I deserve to lose. But thankfully, my Iono gave my opponent a weak enough hand where they weren't able to get a knockout on my Mew VMAX. So I got really lucky there. I think the following turn, I sniped their Bibarel with Ice Cube. I did something. Okay, no, they had to go into Frigibax for a turn. I think I bossed the Shempow or something. I forget what it was, but I either went Ice Cube KO Bibarel or I sniped their Shenpao. It was one of the two. Or I KO'd a Greninja. I forget. It was something like that. Eventually, I won the game because I did snipe their Bibarel with Ice Cube. Their only Bibarel in play, by the way. They didn't have another Bidoof in play or anything. So I just sniped the Bibarel and then I won from there. But it's kind of a blur. I misplayed. I should never have got Ice Cube to begin with, but thankfully it ended up actually helping me because it allowed me to kill their Bibarel, which is huge. If you can kill Bibarel against Shenpao, a lot of the time, their draws are, pretty spaghetti. And I ended up winning in the end because my opponent had some pretty bad, luck in terms of, drawing energy and stuff and, superiors and Pokestop luck. It just wasn't as good as it could have been. I thankfully didn't get punished. I probably would have won the game had I just ever went Ice Cube or Meloetta turn 1. Most likely would have won. It would have been very good if I'd pulled that off. But unfortunately, wasn't able to do it. But still pulled it through in the end. Then I went into top 8. Top 8 was against Giratina. Top 8, Giratina. And I did go 2-0. Round 1 was a little awkward. My opponent wasn't able to really get many basics established. They had really bad, mediocre draws throughout the game. They just couldn't really establish, and I just kind of ran over them. And then so the second game was extremely close, and I got so lucky. I feel bad, dude. I got really, really lucky. I'm talking insanely lucky, luckier than I should have been. So on the turn, my opponent did Star Requiem. So I had a Meloetta on the bench, another Mew on the bench. I had 3 fusion energy in play, and my other fusion energy was in the deck. So they Star Requiem my active Mew VMAX, and Rock Sand me, and Path me in the same turn, which is what you kind of have to do. Unfortunately for them, the Rock Sand gave me my 4th fusion energy, so I killed the Giratina immediately with the Meloetta attack, which was extremely dirty. It was super dirty. I did not deserve to do that, but I did because Rock Sand's a lie. Then they Iono countercatchered me again, so they countercatchered Genesect, and Iono'd me to 1, and Sableyed me. Guess what they Iono'd me into? Double turn 1 energy, so I could retreat Genesect and win the game. I was like, nah, bro, that ain't it. Because at that point, when I killed the Giratina, I went down to 1 prize. So I was like, okay, wow. And then, yeah, I'm like, they're probably going to Iono Roxanne me again. The rest of my hand was unplayables, like Ultra Balls. They Iono me to 1, and I drew the double turbo to retreat off the countercatcher, which was just disgusting. I felt so bad. I was like, bro, I sacked you so hard. I do not deserve to win that because of my luck. But sometimes that's just how the game goes. You just get lucky. And then finally, in top 4, I ended up losing to Charizard. I met my maker. I was not worried though because again, Charizard is actually not that bad if Judge Path sticks. If Judge Path can stick and they do not get a good setup, you're in a good spot. You can win the game if Judge Path sticks. So I actually was like, all right, I believe in Judge Path. Judge Path has won me many games before. Round 1, I bricked really hard and I just ended up losing really fast because I just had a horrible hand. I think I flipped Tails on Cremomatic, which would have allowed me to set up, but yeah, Tails, I lost the game. Round 2 was very close, so I did get 2-0'd, but round 2 I played maybe a little poorly in the end. So I went Judge Path early on, obviously did my stuff, took some prizes. They set the Charizard up, and they had 3. We were both on 3 prizes after this. So yeah, they set Charizard up, knocked out my Mew with Box of Disastron. They took 8 damage. There's one big issue. I had 1 Power Tablet left. Due to the 8 damage counters that were placed on the Charizard, I could not one-shot with Technoblast. So my only way to kill this active Charizard to maybe win the game, because I could have went Iono, Judge, knockout Charizard, and then hope they can't just set another Charizard up, and I might still win the game. I still could KO their Rotom and stuff. They're playing the Rotom Avery build. So I was like, okay, I still have a win condition. I have to knock out the active. The only way to do that is I have to go Meloetta. I had 1 fusion energy in the deck. I had 3 fusions on board, 1 in deck. I had to do 280 damage in order to KO this Charizard because I only had 1 Power Tab left, and I had no way to do 250 damage otherwise. So I went for the Meloetta play, but I actually misplayed. Looking back, me and my friends were talking about it. I think I actually did misplay. So what I should have done, I went all in on the Genesect. I cleaned my hand and just went Genesect to try to get at least a Sparkle. And I got punished because I drew Fusion Energy Sparkle. So what I should have done is I should have actually played my hand down in bits. So basically, I should have drawn a couple with Genesect instead of drawing all at once. I think I drew like 5 cards off of a Genesect, and I got the Sparkle Energy. Now, honestly, that was like unlucky on my end. Like there was still a good chance. I had 2 Sparkles in the deck and 1 Fusion Energy, and I still had like maybe like 18, 19 cards in the deck, something like that. So I got really unlucky. I probably shouldn't have done that because I got a little unlucky there. But yeah, looking back, I should have played my hand down and drawn a couple cards at a time instead of all at once, because I could have drawn the Sparkle and not the energy. I think I drew the energy before the Sparkle. I can't remember exactly, but I feel like I did draw the energy before the Sparkle when I did the Genesect, so maybe it wouldn't have mattered, but I think it would have mattered because if I did that instead, I could have drawn the Sparkle first and the energy. So that's what I should have done. And I kind of didn't realize that was actually a thing I can do, is I can actually Genesect bit by bit instead of just drawing all at once. There was no reason to. So 2 big misplays cost me 2 matches, potentially. I basically KO'd the Charizard with Meloetta, right? And then I hope my opponent can't just win the game on the spot. Or get another Charizard set up, right? Or even if they do, they have to not boss my Mew, which I don't think they were going to pull that off. So they KO my Meloetta in the active spot, and I'm fine. But again, I threw because I accidentally drew too many cards with Genesect when I shouldn't have done that. So I kind of forgot that was a play. Yeah, I kind of just, I tunnel visioned and drew a million cards at once when you don't have to. When you're trying to do a play like that, you can Genesect for a couple cards at once, and then this way you can draw the card without drawing the other card that lets you pull the combo off. So, is what it is. And then, it wasn't over yet, because I retreated into, I retreated and Ionoed into the Genesect for a turn. I'm like, you KO my Genesect, that's fine. If you set up another Zard, I probably just lose. They mentioned another Charmander, and then my opponent played Avery, which threw me we lost me the game, because I had Fusion Energy on like 2 Genesects on the bench, so Avery lost me the game because I had to get rid of Pokemon with Fusion Energy on them, and that was it. That was GG's. I had no way to win, and then I just decked myself out and conceded. So yeah, unfortunate run. Again, Mew VMAX is a very polarizing deck. I think it has a great matchup spread below Gardevoir and Charizard. I think those are your 2 worst matchups. Specifically, Charizard is pretty bad if you, like, again, if they just set up, it's really hard to beat Charizard. Charizard is beatable, but it is tough. Some key tips you can do in the matchup are Judge Path, obviously. Try to set up a Meloetta. Try to get as much fusion. Try to set up like 4 Fusion Energy if you can, so that you can KO the Charizard with your Meloetta to force a 1-prizer in the active. Like, it's hard, but those are some lines you can take. But yeah, Charizard's bad. So Mew VMAX I think is fine. Again, with the popularity of both Charizard and Guardy, 2 of arguably the best decks in the game right now, kind of scare me from playing the deck again. I might play it again, maybe. I don't know. The deck's a lot of fun to play, though. But yeah, then I went to a Win-A-Box. I guess I can do a mini term report. Yeah, Win-A-Box went 4-1. It was kind of scuffed, though, because one game, my opponent scooped me because they were X2 and had no way to, like, win, so they just scooped me. It was Entei with a Spiritomb, which I ended up losing because I misplayed and borderlocked myself from being able to Psychic Leap, because I wanted to bench Meloetta to draw more cards, so I should have done that. But yeah, mini tournament report there. I lost to Miraidon round 1 because I just got donked, and they had like checkmate with Raichu. And then round 2 was against, I think it was against Entei or something like that. Entei was 1 or 2, which is a good matchup for this deck. If you play properly, Entei Valiant's good. I started Ice Cube, which was huge because they couldn't take out a 2-prizer right away, which was good. And then I played against was it 2 Guardies? I know I played against Guardian in round 5. I ended up winning because Path did buy me a turn again, which was huge. And I also was able to KO the Gardevoir EX with the double Fusion Energy, double tablet, instead of going triple tablet. Thanks to Fusion Energy fixing the math on the Technoblast, I was actually able to knock out with 2 tabs, which was huge. And then, yeah, Path bought me a turn, which did end up winning me the game. I forget. It's all a blur, dude. I'm super tired. The reason I didn't upload a video yesterday on the main channel is because I was extremely tired. I was on like 4.5 hours of sleep all day yesterday, so I just wasn't able. By the time I got home at like 9:30, 10 o'clock, I just was not able to record a video. There's no way. I had no energy left, so I went to bed. But yeah, I forget. The Win-A-Box, it wasn't really as important as the League Cup, but it was still cool. But yeah, I don't know. Mew's cool. Again, would I play it again? Maybe. It's fun to play. It's definitely a good deck, but again, with the 2 biggest decks right now being Charizard and Guardy, it scares me a little bit. So, I don't know. Guardian and Charizard might be too popular for this deck to actually be that good, but I still think Fusion Mew can be good under the right circumstances, and it's still winnable. Like, I did beat Guardy today thanks to the power of, like, Path and stuff, but Again, a lot of it was luck. Like, Path needs to stick if that matchup's ever winnable. So, Guardian Charizard being really popular make it tough. But I don't know. The deck's cool. Deck's fun. And yeah, hope you enjoyed today's little tournament report. Every time I get CP at like a tournament, I kind of want to do more of these videos. They're fun to make. They're fun to do. I love doing tournament reports. They're fun to talk about. Ton of fun to make. Ton of fun to like recap and look back at like misplays and stuff and improve myself as a player. But yeah, I'm excited. Hopefully I get one out for San Antonio, which is 2 weeks away. Hopefully we can get CP at San Antonio, and I can do another one of these videos. But hope you enjoyed, and I will see you on another video on the second channel. If you haven't subbed yet, make sure to subscribe down below. We're on the road to 10,000 subscribers, and I'll see you all later. Bye-bye.